D&D Beyond bring us another free low-level starter one-shot. Borderlands Quest, Goblin Trouble. This is setting us up for the 2025 starter set, I imagine. An upgrade of Keep on the Borderlands from way back. And just like with the updated rule set in 2024-25, it is squarely aimed at really deeply explaining to brand new players how this game works. So if you're intermediate to above, there's nothing for you here. It's for true beginners. But if you're a true beginner, I'm currently making a very long video going from complete beginner to experienced, doing DM side and player side. And I have other games broken down like this, how to run them, etc. on my channel. So grab 4 to 6 players and even a brand new dungeon master, and apparently all you need will be laid out before you here. So if you don't have dice, you can get some digital dice. Just search dice apps. There'll be free ones on websites, but yeah, D20, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4. And as I said, this is free on D&D Beyond, where you'll also find the basic rules, which is very lengthy for basic rules. But with this, you can hyperlink to some stat blocks. So, you know, once you've got this digitally, you'll be fine. They even have these character sheets. We'll click on Sheila, for example. And I know this looks very overwhelming to a new player, but I would point out these 3 things. Sheila, her armor class is 13, meaning that any monsters need to roll a dice and add numbers of their weapons to get 13 or above. And if we go down here, the dagger that Sheila owns, you add 4 to the D20 roll. So we have a dagger here. This is from Sheila. She rolls a 15 plus 4. So if the number that the monsters needed to do was 13 and they got the same as this, 15 plus 4, 19 is larger than 13. But what I'm pressing on here is actually Sheila's short bow. Let's go Sheila's short bow. So she rolled a 9, but she gets plus 4 with the short bow. 13. That equals her own armor class. If she was shooting herself, that's what she would get and she'd hit. So there's, as you can see, there's different classes, 11 hit points. And she hasn't been injured, but that's what current means. Get your players to pick a character. And it does explain a little bit about what everything on that sheet is, but I think we can skip it personally. So there's a little bit of talk here about how we're going to pretend to be each of our characters. And it's a team working game. It's not fighting against each other. There's no PvP. We'll be rolling D20s, as I showed you on that digital sheet just a minute ago. We'll be trying to match the armour classes of each other, the monsters and the players, to do some damage. And as I say, you can go to the basic rules and really go into it, or we can just run on the simplest of ideas. And the simplest of ideas is Rule 0, have fun. So let's jump ahead. The Dungeon Master will read this to the players, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but they've been hired by somebody at the Keep on the Borderlands, at Keep being like a castle. Someone's stolen the Bowl of Plenty, a large silver bowl that was a gift, meant to bring good fortune to anyone who eats a meal out of it. A lucky bowl. Now it is a damaged bowl, but still valuable to the Keep. You players will get 20 gold pieces from the castle if you retrieve this bowl, and you'll get 20 gold pieces each. Now, you can play out them accepting the mission, because so you can play somebody high up or whatever from the castle. We're looking for some adventurers to come and steal this lost item, and you know, there's tracks went that away, so you can have them you do a survival check to follow the tracks. So let's just say the survival number they need is 10. Right, click on survival. That is... okay, she doesn't find it, but hopefully one of the other party will be able to follow these tracks. We need them to get to where they're going. And they follow the trail of thieves, and you've questioned people along the way. Did you see anyone suspicious come through here? Well, they went that way, towards an area we call the Caves of Chaos. And the final witness will say, yeah, they were carrying some sort of shiny bowl. Big dent in it. It was a group of goblins. So now the party stands, party being a group of players, the party stands at the mouth of a cave. There are several goblin footprints leading inwards. Then we get a map taken from the Dungeon Master's Guide because it has some sample maps in, most notably a warren of different tunnels. You can pull out random monsters and plop them in here at a later date, but for now we're just going to concentrate on what is in this adventure. If you look here, the main area is this building, what's been hollowed out of the rock side. There is a stream that runs down the west edge, and there's a little S here. Now this is for the Dungeon Master, the map. There's only one secret, and it is a secret door on this map. There's a player's version without that on. You could draw this on a piece of paper, or do theatre of the mind and just say you're walking down a warren and eventually you can hear the stream running down. You just describe it. Now these little triangles here are arrow slits. So, like in castles, an arrows with slit can be seen, so goblins can shoot from the inside. So the only way in is to find this secret entrance near the stream. The characters enter from the east. So there's quite a lot of places where they find nothing. Or you can be really kind and just say, oh, you found some health potions, just to buff them a little bit, being level 1. So the Dungeon Master describes the plink of water, the rush of distant water, the darkness, the smell. What do? It's dark in there. Okay, so by shining a light into the cave, there's just many tunnels down there. It's time for a die roll. It's a d20. We roll the d20, and we want either a perception check or a survival check. We did a survival check already. It's a safe, do that again. But we're looking for a 15. And you'll keep giving them the opportunity for checks until they do a decent one and they can find it leads to that little building, what they can't seem to access. When the characters enter the cave, you can say, from the cave entrance, the passage goes deeper beneath the hills and slopes downwards. You travel for several minutes and you find loads of webs. And you see again the footprints in the floor of these caves. And then in the centre of the floor is a big human-sized boot. In these webs, there's loads of dead spiders. It's just more for setting the ambience. If they have burning torches, they can burn the webs, but dead spider carcasses fall down, when they leave their skin. So 2 medium-sized spiders, if they actually look closely at the bodies, they will probably see crossbow bolts sticking out. So someone has shot these spiders dead. If they want to search around, they can use perception or survival. Investigation also works for me. You can have them find a dead adventurer. Next to his body is a torn backpack. Inside is 30 gold pieces, 5 foot of rope, 5 torches and a potion of healing. So if they drink a potion of healing, you'll roll 2d4 and add 2 more, and that's all the health points that they will restore to their health if they're injured. But it can't go over their maximum. Advantage means you roll 2 d20s and take the highest. Disadvantage, if things are hard, you roll 2 d20 and take the lowest. Simple as that. So eventually they find themselves on the southeastern side of the map near some stone steps, where an underground stream flows. The 2 people who originally helped steal the bowl are in that cavern. They use bandit statistics. So just go with the average probably, the 11 health points. If they're attacking, they need to get a 12 using their weapons, and that's when they can deal damage, and the 11 goes down to dead. Like these guys have a scimitar sword. They basically roll a d20 and add 3, trying to hit the 13 AC of Sheila, for example. My advice, you can roll the 1d6 and add a 1 to the damage. I would just go with 4 every time, or 5 every time with a light crossbow, should it hit their AC. That just speeds things up a bit. So the passageway continues, and they hear whispers, people talking further up. Indecipherable, but audible. They can try and stealth closer. Stealth is a roll. But ultimately, what do? Do they try and get more hearing at what they're listening to? Ultimately, there's 2 bandits, Vonnet and Dilly. One is an orc woman, one is a human woman. They sold the bowl to some goblins, and then stealthily followed them back to the lair. They hope to steal the bowl back off the goblins. If you're sneaking around these tunnels, and you want to go and hear what these 2 bandits are saying, you can try a hide action, but ultimately that means making a stealth check, and it needs to be a stealth of 10 or above with your stealth roll. And if anyone fails, then the bandits hear them coming. However, with a successful stealth up and then a proper listen, like a perception check of 15, they will hear the bandit plans. Let's see what the bandit plans are. So Dilly is missing the boot and has a wound on her foot from a spider bite after their fight with the spiders earlier. She's missing 4 health points. When they sold the bowl to the goblins for 50 gold, there were only 3 goblins, but there may be more now. They don't even know. So maybe your players have that boot already of Dilly's, and they may give her the boot back, heal her, have them as be allies against the goblins. But ultimately these things will double-cross the players. You can have Vonnet and Dilly offer to split the reward money, and an insight check is to basically read body language and see whether they're lying, and they are being sincere about that. But if things turn to a fight, these bandits carry 60 gold pieces each. So you just use your imagination to say what these bandits would say. You understand their motivation to steal the bowl back. You can do different voices. You can just describe one has... well, one's an orc, one's a woman. So, you know, the woman says, the orc says. But ultimately there is a trap further on set by the goblins. It's a rubble trap located in a mushroom patch near the stream using heavy stones. They might try and detect a trap. It's unlikely, I suppose. There is a tripwire. It's a DC 15 perception or investigation to notice it. If this trap is triggered, DC 12 to jump out of the way of it. So you take 1d6 bludgeoning damage on a fail save or half as much on a success. So they'll take damage either way if they set this trap off. And hearing the trap goes off means that the goblins are probably ready to be attacked. As we've discussed, there is a secret door into this lair. The trap causes the chamber to shake a little and the secret door to open a bit to give it away to the players. It opens easily. And there's some goblins inside with the bowl. As I say, they might be in defensive position if they heard the trap trigger. These 2 connected rooms have an open door between them and a makeshift forge in the back. The forge is stoked to a white hot state and a silver bowl is being melted down on that fire. 4 goblins stand around here, and also one of the goblins wears some jewellery, looks important, and holds a leash to a giant centipede. And that goblin will shout, "Kill the intruders!" The 5 goblin warriors include one particularly tough goblin called Sprega. She has tamed and trained a giant centipede to act as bodyguard. So she carries what she calls a magic stick, and it basically lights up all the time, so it works like a torch. So the goblins will use arrows from their short bows, then move in to be close to the players to sword them. If they kill the leader, the rest of the goblins will run away. The centipede is trained to fight to the death. So don't forget, if they have these 2 bandits on side, they will get their turn in the fight order. Everybody rolls initiative, which means getting in that fight order. You roll a d20, you add your number next to dexterity, initiative +2 to her roll. Let's look at the giant centipede. So this giant centipede also adds +2 to its initiative roll. Whoever has the biggest number goes first, and then in descending order everyone follows. The bandits can go together on the same turn. This centipede's armor class is 14 to hit it. Health points average of 9. You can roll these dice, but just quicker to do 9. And it bites people with a +4 after its d20 roll. Average of 4 piercing damage, and then the target is poisoned until the start of the centipede's next turn. It is hyperlinked, yes. Poisoned means that if you try any like survival checks, things like that, or attacks, you have that disadvantage we spoke about, rolling 2d20s taking the worst result. And it suggests that if you've got less than 4 players, you take away a goblin warrior and the centipede, because that's quite a hard amount. And if there's more than 6 characters, unlikely, you add a goblin warrior and 1 giant centipede. So you have to kind of think, ooh, is my party going to be able to cut through these? Because they're meant to be the heroes. But of course, you can add them in waves. You can have 2 goblins, and then as they're fighting those 2 other goblins, or 1 other goblin comes in, you're free to just improvise, play it by ear, have them run away, those enemies, when they need to. If you're adding in extra potions of healing, you've got that little bit of a cushion in the player's favour. So anyway, however the fight transpires, anyone left alive, player-wise, can take the bowl of plenty out of the fire. Of course it's red hot, it needs to cool down. So putting it in the stream would be a good idea. or putting water on it from the water skins they likely have in their backpack. But as they cool the bowl, out comes a ghostly pixie, saying, "Oh, I'm dying while I'm out of this bowl. It's made me poorly," and basically it loses a health point every round. Rounds really are those combat rounds once initiative's been rolled. But we're out of combat now, so every now and again it loses a hit point while it's out of the bowl. You could maybe heal it back up just to buy yourself some time. And don't forget that these bandits, the human and the orc, will try to steal the bowl again, not caring about the spirit. So fixing the bowl is the next object of the game. They can repair it with a DC 10 check. And if you've got carpenter's tools, smith's tools or tinkerer's tools, now's the time to use them. The characters must succeed on 3 ability checks to properly repair the bowl. The number they're wanting is 10 every time. If a character has the mending spell, they can cast it once, and that counts as 1 success towards the 3 successful checks needed. If the characters fail 5 checks before the 3 successes, they accidentally break the bowl, and the spirit fades away to nothing. Dead. Well, more dead. So then if you want to wrap up the story correctly, they go back to the quest giver at the beginning. Here's the bowl, or here's the bowl but we've broken it, whatever. Or it got stolen. But whether or not they get the reward is up to how well they did. And then that supposedly leads up to the starter set out September 2025, which I will be doing a proper DM guide to on this channel, so please consider subscribing.